Hey, welcome back to Fake Deep Thinking, where a group of friends sit down and talk about news, culture, and sometimes, yes, even politics. We have John in the house. We have John muted in the house. We got Doc.
Yo, what's up, man?
We got Ian in the figurative back. I'll do it for John. Yo. And we got myself, Eugene. Sorry we missed y'all last week. I was playing pickleball with the family and I lost track of time. And then the week before that, I forgot to mention that I was going to Florida for my girlfriend's birthday. We went to Disney World for that, which was very fun. We played a bingo game where we had to like see things and then mark things off on it. For example, one of it, which is my personal favorite, was if you see a toddler throwing a tantrum, you got to mark that one off. And the rarest one we saw was someone actually propose, and that was actually kind of cool to see. That happened in Star Wars. That was kind of dope. What'd you say?
I said, were all the boards the same?
No. Well,
Like,
I think a lot of the things that hit
anybody
was the
playing-
same, but they were like mixed matched.
okay, so but you were all hitting for the same viewer.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It's just like my sea proposal is probably on the top left and someone's on the bottom right. That was all mixed matched, but we all had the similar things to achieve. I think no one was able to get a blackout, but I think the closest people were one of her friends and her father.
What's a
I think
blackout?
the whole board. You
board.
fill out the whole board.
Oh shit, that's like hardcore bingo. I was thinking like a line or like the center square. Like
That's that XXX bingo.
We were there for 2 days. We were there all day, so I mean it's something to do while we're waiting in line and walking around.
That sounds like a fun game.
It actually made it really fun. I'm not gonna lie. Like everyone started like eyes on a swivel, just like huh.
Gene's riding the ride and he's just like looking at everybody.
That's one. Get my phone
up.
Well, we had to take pictures to prove it. Like we had to prove we saw it by taking a picture and sending it to the group
that's
chat.
Hard.
Yeah, so we're sitting there sneakily trying to take a child taking a tantrum, someone doing a TikTok dance, like not look creepy, take a picture of kids doing TikTok dances.
Me.
Like
I would have ran up to that kid throwing a tantrum and said, "I need this for my bingo card."
well, that's my girlfriend did that.
Try
She one of the ones was like get a picture of a baby asleep in their like crib. And she walked up to a lady and like asked permission, like, "Hey, we're my group of friends and family. We're doing this bingo. Is it okay if I take a picture of your kid?" Because obviously that can be creepy. So she played it safe, which was smart on her part.
Yeah.
I'm
But
like,
she
"Fuck
definitely-
no, you weirdo."
I don't know what
But,
bingo is, you freaking pervert. He's stealing my kids.
right? That's funny.
Wait, how'd you guys do this though? Did you do it through an app or did you like write it down or what?
My girlfriend brought up the idea, and her friend just took off with the idea. I think there's like a website or an app where you can like make bingo cards, and I think she did it herself. So she like made her own, and then she like probably randomized it, and then sent everyone their individual card through their phone. So everyone's just on their phone like marking it off. You can even mark off like click this, I got this. You can click again to unmark it if you mess up. Like it was a pretty cool thing actually. I don't know how she found that out, but she did it.
No, I imagine there's like apps for little stuff like that. Just make it way more convenient.
Yeah, it was really fun. But sorry I missed y'all those that 2 weeks ago because of that. I forgot to mention that. And then again, sorry about last week because I got sidetracked with pickleball. I'm into pickleball now. I got my own paddle, if you can see in the back there. You know, I'm all up in it.
Like, did you lose and you got heated and you just like didn't want to come home to do the podcast? Forgot about it or what?
No, we just kept going back and forth. Like I forgot what the teams were. If it was my dad and my brother or whatever, but we just it was fun. You know, they would win, then we would win. They would win, and then we would win. And it's like we just go back and forth.
Had like 8 or 10 games that day. Yeah, we're there
Yeah.
for almost 3 hours.
That's true because I did call you around like 2, and I saw you at the court. Like, I saw you walking around, and sitting down, and talking at one of the benches.
Yeah. It was a fun day. My bad, guys. And we're a little late this time because John had some things going on. Had to walk the dog.
We're trying to get integration done finally this week for the second time. Hopefully everybody doesn't get fired involved.
That's intense. All right. Let's jump right into it because it's been a while. Let's talk about some craziness. I'm sure, as a lot of y'all know, a lot of political news has happened, but we're not going to get into that yet. I've been trying to, like we prefaced before on past episodes, when it comes to anything political related, we try to give it some breathing room because certain information comes out that changes the whole dynamic of the conversation. So we like to give some breathing room before we tackle it. So next week we'll probably have more of a political discussion, but this time we're gonna focus on a reoccurring topic that we talked about before because it happened again. I'm waiting for John to come back because I want to see his expression on this one. But a little teaser. So California family sues after 8th grader wearing Warrior paint at a football game suspended for blackface. We have another blackface fiasco. I like how John just out of his slow little scoot like. All right, so let's read this real quick and let's have a discussion and see if this is similar to the last incident that John mentioned. And the last incident was a kid went to a Kansas City Chiefs game, wore the whole India thing, black one face black, one faith red, and John pointed out maybe the dad allowed this to happen because he knew that this was going to cause controversy and the dad was about the controversy. So let's see if a similar point John made on that post is happening here. If John can point that out and find some little like some tomfoolery going on or not while he takes that shot of, I'm assuming, some whiskey.
Nearest.
The parents of a California middle schooler accused of wearing blackface while trying to emulate his favorite football players with eye paint are suing over the ridiculous decision to suspend him. The only people showing absolute racism right now is the school administrators. Dad Daniel Amaduri said of the 13-year-old son only identifies as J.A. for privacy reasons.
I think that's so weird because they already published his last name.
Yeah, right?
So it's just like
Trying to
you
hide
gave
his
us most
first
of the name.
maybe?
It's
Yeah.
just the first letter, but you also have the child's image like in clear sight. Like you can just go to like their public documents and probably find it. That's bad.
Oh,
blame the
sorry. I'm
dad
just
for
reading the
trying.
title of this episode. This is a bait episode for me. Okay, go ahead.
Well,
Continue.
the bait for you is actually what's coming after this. I kind of formulated these topics for a reason. We'll get into it.
No, I just read the title. Dr. Umar.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Damn, John caught me. There wasn't even a real investigation. The young football fan said that no one said anything at the October 11th game when he covered his cheeks and chin, claiming a black security guard even encouraged him to put on more. Everything was normal. No one said anything. It was a normal football game, said J.A., who put on the eye paint himself as he had done many times before. But a week after the game, the principal at Merlin's Middle School called him and his parents in to tell them that J.A. was being suspended for 2 days and barred from attending any future athletic events. That's wild. So then here's said pictures, if y'all haven't seen it yet, him wearing the quote-unquote blackface. A disciplinary notice said J.A. painted his face black at a football game and characterized the incident as an offensive comment that was intent to harm. Principal Jeff Lynn reportedly said it was offensive because Morse High School, one of the schools whose teams was playing, is largely black. Attorney Karen Sweegarts, however, argues in the lawsuit filed in the Southern District of California that J.A. was simply emulating eye black warrior paint that is often used by athletes during a game. I think that's enough to read. We're suing the principal directly, the superintendent, and then the people who made the decision to rubber stamp the principal's ridiculous decision to suspend J.A. The suit seeks to get the suspension removed from the boys' school record, with the Center for American Liberty arguing it could impact his ability to gain acceptance to figure high schools, colleges, and certain occupations. J.A. future is on the line, the Center for American Liberty says on site Wednesday. Okay, so summary. Kid wore athletic paints. School said he wears blackface. He gets suspended and banned from future athletic events. Parents decide to sue, and we'll probably have an update in the future because I'm curious how that plays out. So, first question is, do y'all think, you scroll back up to the picture, do y'all think that this is blackface? Doc, we'll start with you.
Wait, is that really like the most he did though? Like he didn't finish it or anything like that. Like he just kind of went with that.
I'm pretty sure if you finished it, they would have showed that picture.
That's actually true. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel like it's malicious.
Looks like
I'm
black
not.
vagina
I'm
face.
not talking about maliciousness. I'm saying, do you think this is blackface?
Honestly, for me, like just at a shallow viewpoint, I don't think it is. Like,
Do you think it's blackface, John?
No, it's not black. If anything, it looks like a black like vagina around his mouth. No, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't. I don't see blackface. Also, are they just gonna stop selling blackface paint? We just might as well get rid of that shit. Because like,
That's a valid
if you
point.
put black on your face now, it's blackface. Now, don't get me wrong. There's people out here blackfacing, but this ain't blackface. This is not. This is not one of those scenarios.
I kind of wonder like how this came about. Like, who was the whistleblower, and what was the situation
Karen.
of the whistleblower of like, that kid. You know what I mean? Like, and somebody popping off and going to the school and everything like that.
First off, the principal need to be sued because she's saying that's what black people look like. She crazy.
Well,
Second
it says
off,
right here the people who made the decision to. Yeah, so it doesn't specify who. It just largely names the principal and the superintendent, and then like titles that people encompass. Sorry, John.
I'm interested if the person who was the whistleblower was black. Um, I think it's interesting that people are removing context from a lot of things. Like there are, I don't think we've covered it, but there are white kids every year for Halloween who make the dumb decision to do blackface, and some of them go to school with it, and they're obviously portraying black people. This is not portraying a black person. Who is he? Who is he imitating? Like, what is he? Most of the time, when you see blackface, the context behind it is what makes it blackface. Like, in Spain, they do this thing for the three wise men, I believe it was, where they paint basically. They have people in blackface. That's blackface because you're imitating people who you believe to be black at the time. This guy went to a football game and put some paint on. So are you telling me none of the players on the field have any face paint on? Are they also in blackface?
They said he was also imitating like his athlete or his favorite athlete or something like that. So it's like,
Maybe his favorite athlete puts that design on his face, but I don't think he
yeah,
said my favorite athlete has black cheeks and a white forehead, unless he was trying to sneak a blackface in. But then you can't sneak blackface in because then it's just not blackface. Like even if he was attempting to make this blackface, it would not be blackface.
If anything, and
That's
I don't see how this is something you reprimand him for, but if anything, he just messed up in doing his face paint.
he
Like
didn't mess up.
I don't think he messed up either. He may have gone a little bit extra, but I don't think he messed up. But that's the best argument you could make is he messed up his face paint. But the face paint itself is not blackface because I thought in my assumption, I think I said this last time, I'm gonna say it again. In my assumption, blackface has to encompass the entirety of your face because the whole point, even your neck and like it's the whole point is like John said earlier, you're trying to emulate a black person. I don't see the emulation going on
yeah,
here.
it has to definitely achieve like the level of like characterization where you're going with that. Because imagine if it was a different color. Like if this was red, would
No
we be in
problem.
this boat? Yeah.
Or
But then
yellow.
now, okay, bear with me.
Why
Since we're
yellow?
playing.
It's just any other color, really.
Since we're
No,
playing
just any other color we associate to an ethnic group. Like if he, because obviously people jokingly call people Asians yellow. So if he wore yellow face, is he being a yellow face, rude to Asian people?
No,
In the red
but
face,
no.
is rude toward Indians. Like
I
But
don't
if he
think
wears
so.
yellow, if he puts yellow on and then wears a pine cone straw hat in the shape of a samurai, then it becomes yellowface. If he's wearing this and he wears shackles and clothes that would imitate a slave, then it becomes blackface. This man has a Nike t-shirt on at a football game. You think he woke up that day and said, fuck the game?
I want to piss off some liberals, especially if he lives in
I
California.
want black. You're frozen a little bit online. Okay, you're unfroze.
Yeah, you froze on us, so I try to fill in the space while you were frozen.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was frozen for me too, but Doc was somehow moving. But no, I don't think this kid woke up and said, like, chose violence. No, I don't think that was the case. Next week, however, we will be talking about people doing blackface real estate.
So they didn't give us as much information as the last one. Maybe I should have pulled up the I think the top video actually is real quick, Ian. If you want to play it, the Fox News interview, and then based off, I guess how the dad, because obviously I think the dad's going to talk majority of the time.
Oh, his
If you
parents
get
probably love this though.
if you
His
get the
parents
vibe
love
that
it.
you got last time, go ahead and play it, Ian.
A California middle schooler accused of wearing blackface has a new lawsuit against the school district. J.A. was suspended from school for 2 days and banned from all sporting events after wearing that eye paint. You can see there the black eye paint on his face. And now his family wants the incident expunged from his records. J.A. joins us now along with his dad, Daniel Amaduri, and their lawyer, Karen Swigert. Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning. Tell us what happened back in October at that football game.
It was a normal day, and everything was normal. No one said anything. It was just a normal football game, and La Jolla won.
So you put black eye paint like the football players do? Because when you look at that picture, it's all over your face. But Brian, who is a sports enthusiast, my co-anchor, he said this is a lot of athletes actually do that.
Yeah, that was the main point, because I used to go to a lot of football games when I lived in Texas, and I used to play football. And sometimes we'd put that on if one of the kids brought it.
Yeah, I was shocked. You know, there was no incident that night, and you can imagine in today's world, there's iPhones, there's thousands of people, or over 1,000. The other school is predominantly black. I mean, and nothing was said that night. There was no incident. He's an 8th grader, by the way, a small 8th grader. It's a high school football game. There's staff there. There's teachers. There's police, security. Nothing. And then the following Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing. Wednesday night, Wednesday afternoon, the principal called Joseph or J.A. into the office. And then the next morning, my wife and I showed up, and he said he did blackface, and he was suspended for 2 days, and he was going to be banned from sports. And that was when I showed the principal the picture from that night. And I thought that was going to end this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, no, that's blackface.
We're suing the principal directly,
the
superintendent,
the picture of the principal?
and then the people who made the decision to rubber stamp the principal's ridiculous decision to suspend J.A.
All right, you can. Yeah. Okay, that's wild. So, yeah, I thought the suit was because the principal never actually, because he alleges in the article we read that they didn't do proper investigation to even follow through with this suspension. So I was operating on the assumption the principal hasn't even seen the pictures yet. Even if he hasn't seen him, he's not going to publicly admit he has, or that he's seen him, because he's got a safe face. But now that we know he hasn't even, like, he saw him, the dad was like, this is what you're blackfacing on. He even doubled down. It's like, that's black. Like, that's what, how, like, I don't know. Is this a white man? Is this principal white? Because that's wild to me.
Wait, so what you got from what he just said was that the principal hadn't seen the pictures. He just acted.
No. Before this, I thought the principal hadn't seen him, or at least was going to play off of not having seen it to at least feign some level of ignorance, right? Because that's the only scapegoat I can see in this right now. So you don't look, in my mind, stupid.
Correct.
If that's even fair to call him, I think it is. But like, not to be too biased. But now that I find out that the dad actually showed him the picture and he doubled down, it's like, oh, so you are stupid. Because I don't see how you can look at that picture and reasonably come out of it and, yeah, that's blackface. That's wild to me. And that's why I made probably the inappropriate assumption that the dude must be a white principal. Because I can't imagine a black guy looking at that and say, yeah, that's blackface. Maybe that's my bias, but it makes sense that a white savior complex liberal would look at this and be like, yeah, that's blackface. We gotta push this down. We gotta fix this. We gotta hold this kid back. I don't know. I'm not reading too much into it, but that's what threw me for a loop. It's like, wow, you actually knew, you saw it. The dad showed you, and you still were like, yeah, it's blackface. That's wild. Doc, you still there?
I thought he was just like listening to you talk, but then I was like, oh, he's not doing anything.
That's funny.
Struggles at home.
Dude, I really wonder, like, what else? Like, is there more context? Because I agree. Like, pun aside, at face value, like, it doesn't look like that. And so I'm kind of wondering, was there more context that the principal is aware of, that he received, that somehow made this become the decision?
But my question also is about what context, because if it's not related to the face paint, then this is a scapegoat for them to punish this kid. And that is also a problem in and of itself. Why are you going out of your way to punish a child that, like, you as an adult principal or whoever else, or whoever specifically is trying to go after this kid, why are you why? Like, I don't understand what the context would be.
What I'm thinking is, like, maybe he actually was saying something. Like, maybe he was actually saying a slur. Like, maybe there was something that somebody else experienced that was like, no, even though like he didn't complete it, like he was still like,
But wouldn't they lead with that then?
That's why I'm saying, like, I don't know if the journalism just hasn't covered that yet. And the principal's holding back that information, because even these people, like, they haven't really talked to the principal. They're just kind of expressing what's happening at face value, also on their own end. At least we didn't finish reading the article, but to my knowledge, like, they haven't gotten a statement from the school. They're just saying like what the dad has said, and it's a lot of hearsay coming from the father's end and like the family and stuff like that. So
yeah, the article doesn't really get any statement from the school itself.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I was like, is there more context? Because I totally agree. Like, just seeing the image is like, that's not what that is. So why would they have been so harsh?
Because that was a harsh punishment. Like, let's assume he played it safe by 2-day suspension, blackface, sure. But then to follow through with a permanent ban from athletic events, like, that's where, like, did you see the picture? Like, if you're playing it safe to cover your ass and you're doing 2-day suspension, that's not a big deal. Two-day suspension, I really doubt that it affects his permanent record that they're trying to allude to when it comes to schools. Not that I highly doubt, I know it doesn't affect it, because I know kids who got into habitual fights, way worse than this, and they still went to college. So,
I say I agree with that, but in the current age, something like this on a record,
you know what? Especially in California, you gotta think.
Like, if he's trying to, like, imagine he's trying to get into a liberal college, and already most colleges lean liberal, and then he has like this, which is like a hardcore liberal sin.
Yeah,
like, it's pretty damning.
Fair. All right, so, you know what? Fair.
So I totally see the dad being like, no, we got to get this expunged because this is ridiculous, and kind of taking it to the highest court to try to deal with that. But that's what I'm saying. But like, at that point, like, if they're going to do that, like, I kind of want the rest of the context. I want the institution to give out some kind of information and be like, dude, why did you guys decide that? Like, because that's crazy. Like,
the only reason why I think we haven't heard anything from the school, because I'm pretty sure we would have heard something by now. I can look up, see if there's an update. Is because they're trying to find a defense for this. Like, why? We need to defend this. Help the lawyers out. Like, the lawyers need to defend you. What other evidence? What other context? What other nuances do you have to justify this decision so I can defend this? And we haven't heard anything because they're scrambling, trying to weave something. I don't know. Let me see what I can find.
They're probably scrambling, and even also, like, if they put out a statement, it's an institutional statement, so it's going to be a slowly come to like statement.
Let's see, any update. So we might not get to the topic since John lost internet. He texted me he lost internet in his area, so we'll see if it comes back up or not.
Bummer.
But the reason why I wanted to do that Dr. Umar video is because it was a long podcast with Joe Budden, and there's a lot that we can talk about from that podcast, but I just wanted to highlight one specific thing, and the reason I want to highlight that one specific thing is because there's I don't know how to phrase this without sounding inappropriate, and I don't know if it will come out inappropriate. I'm just trying to cover my bases in this 2024 culture we have now. It seems like we are completely accepting of racism when it comes from one direction, and that one direction is from specifically black men, women, towards specifically white men and women. And it's wild that we can easily point at a child who's not doing blackface, who's doing athletic paints, and be like, that's blackface. persecute him, ruin his future, ruin his education, just ruin him.
I would expand on that. Because I do think similarly, but I don't think it's coming from, say, like a particular group. I think it's coming from people that are hiding behind.
No, I agree with you.
The righteousness of whatever they're intending to do.
I completely agree with you, but the reason I wanted to highlight the Dr. Umar interview, because it appears to me from my perspective, and again, because it's my perspective, I could be wrong, there are those people who take that route, but then there are also a subset of people who are black who are taking advantage of this weapon they can now use against white people, and that is the race card. You're racist, you're a white man, you're prejudiced, you're white supremacy. Like if they could use it, they have no problem using it and taking it to extremes, which is why I wish John didn't drop out of what Dr. Umar was saying. And basically, he has issues with mixed race couples.
Why?
White men shouldn't date black women, and black women shouldn't date white men, and black men shouldn't date white women, and blah blah blah. Like, you should date in your race. He comes from that mentality, that perspective. He ends up going with it in a later clip, but it's not in this clip, but in a later future on that podcast. Him and what's the guy's name that's on the Joe Budden podcast? Ish.
His name is funny.
Yeah, Ish. Him and Ish, I'm going at it because right. Because Ish is actually dating a white complected woman, and Dr. Umar's calling him a either a snow buddy or basically a race traitor or something like that. Alludes to that, some along those lines, and they start going out a little bit in a heated debate because, like, Joe Budden has some intense opinions about him dating outside of his race, and it's wild because it's like that is literally the mentality of white supremacists. And now we have the rise of black supremacists, and we're not even acknowledging the rise of black supremacists. We're just like, yeah, they exist. We're okay with it. They have a right to exist. It's like, what? And that's why I kind of put these two topics together, because I just wanted to show how, like, we're so okay with black supremacy that we're persecuting a literal child for simply doing paint for a sports event. Like, and there's several. This is the second time we're talking about this. It's getting out of hand.
I do think there are people in the world that, like I've always said, or it's like, it's not about throwing away the whip. It's about having their turn with it.
And that's weird.
Yeah, and it is weird to me too. I mean, I was looking at like the whole like Tekken scene. This one guy tweeted out, I've told you this when we were driving up to Houston. This one guy tweeted out to the creator of Tekken that he's racist because there aren't enough black people in Tekken. And the person who tweeted it themselves was black, or is black. And to me, I mean, I really don't. I definitely think it's select individuals, and it's like, you know, this one guy that just said something that was really, really irking to the creator, because he actually responded to him, and you know, he's a corporate leader. He doesn't have to respond to this problem, but I guess it really turned him the wrong way, and he basically pointed out all the black characters throughout the history of the game, and the ones that are in the current game, and the future ones that are coming also, and stuff like that. And he's just like, what the hell? And he also made a statement. He's just like, you don't see me getting bent out of shape for the Western properties. I like not having Japanese characters. He's like, but at the same time, and you could definitely see where the person who tweeted at him was just using the movement that's been building since the summer of protest to just kind of shield his own blatant racism. And I think there are people that are hiding, like I said, behind the movement and the causes that are being championed just so that they could unleash, like you said, like their own innate racism. It is a problem. Like, it's something that I think needs to be checked as we move closer towards a world of equality. Because there's nothing wrong with the idea of a world of equality and stuff like that. It's just, at the same time, you don't want to pivot and tip it over into the other side in the other direction, because
I think those two. Well, my big thing is, I think those two ideas can't exist. Can't strive for a world of equality. Well, we want a world of equality, right? Like this is what we want. We want equality where everyone's equal in the eyes of what everyone's the eyes is. We want the equality, right? But at the same time, we don't want people to discriminate. Both those. One has to go. And the problem is discrimination will never go. people are always going to discriminate. It doesn't even matter specifically about skin tone. It could be about toe size. So because discrimination exists and will always exist, this notion for us to achieve this utopia of equality is a failing pursuit. It's a different word I want to use that I can't think of, but you'll never reach it.
I think you have to navigate it though. Like you still have to
But
walk
then
towards equality. But here's the thing though, like I get what you're saying, and to some extent, discrimination it creates individualization. Like you don't want everybody to be gray. You know, you don't want everyone to be neutral and to be all the same and stuff like that. You want variation amongst people. You want different cultures. You want different ways of thinking and stuff like that. So you have variety in life, so that it's spicier. The issue is when you just like tribalize and you just like go into your own tribe and you're just like fuck that other group or fuck that other group and stuff like that. I think you have to walk towards equality and at the same time accept the differences of other people and not necessarily try to like not see them, but just what I learned. It was an interesting talk I heard in college. I remember it was more so about like tolerance than anything. It was just like, yeah, like that's just who they are, and you just like that's actually probably why they're really cool, and you just kind of let them be. But I do understand also like the idea of discrimination coming in the sense where you're like, I do not agree with what they're doing because that's just not my culture or whatever. And at that point, you have to make a decision where it's just like, is it what they're doing so against your code or beliefs that you can either look away or walk away from it, or it's starting to affect you and be a problem for you? Like, let's say, I don't even know how to do it. Like, the only one thing is like, let's say there's a group of people that like mutilate a person, and this is obviously an extreme, as a cultural right, and then they are like, would you like to participate? And you're like, fuck no. Like that I understand as a discrimination that's acceptable for your belief system. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're trying to allude to. I just, well, real quick before I continue this, let's bring John up to speed. So, John's back. Any last things you want to say with the previous topic with the blackface? If you remember what I was saying before you cut out, you said you're good.
Okay, shout out my nigga.
So, since John's here, we can get into it. The reason why we got on the equality discussion was because I was saying why I wanted to do the Umar clip, and we didn't know if you were coming back or not, so I was kind of like segueing to potentially close it out. But now that you're here, we can watch it and understand why I wanted to do the Umar clip. And what I said that started this conversation with Doc, which is the reason why I brought up the Umar clip and this blackface clip is because there appears to be a acceptance of racism as we think exists, but racism from one direction. And Doc said that those people are very idealistic people. And how I received it, Doc, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically you got the white savior complex, people who want to protect the black people because racism is so prevalent that they want to be like, let's correct our own race because they in history have done black people injustice. And that's why when I think of when you say like people who have lofty ideals who take it too far. Is that a fair characterization of what you said?
I meant in general though, like we're certain people that use whatever righteous ideal they have as a shield to hide really like atrocities. Like
yeah, that's exactly what he said. So yeah, probably didn't do a good job recharacterizing it, but like I said, it went in here and that's how I kind of took it to filtered it. And my problem with that is being used by, I hope at least, a small subsect of black Americans to justify their hate towards white people. Like, these guys are right. And because they're right, I get to use this card, and I'm going to use it every time, all the time I want. And maybe this is a bad way to equate the two.
Hold on. This is a really general ass conversation because
yeah, I keep it pretty general, yeah.
One, first off, most people chase their dreams. which is not a form of reality. It's something you hope to make your reality. I think where a lot of people get confused is when you you don't have the you don't add realism into the dream as to like how you attain that goal or how you end up there. So I think a lot of people operate with this utopian society in their mind and how they believe it should be, but don't actually sit down to look and contextualize the fact that we as human beings don't even have the tools to have that utopian society. We're not built that way. That is, we will never interact that way. It's a goal that we should walk towards, like Doc said, but it's not realistic in the slightest form. We're competitive at nature. We If you take our survival instinct out, maybe, but that's part of our core. So like you can't. There's always gonna be that. And then if you're talking about race and the group of people using the black card excessively, when have we ever had a problem that we've corrected properly in America? That we haven't overcorrected or overhyped? It doesn't have to be race. Name it.
Probably. I was gonna react probably never, to be honest with you, but let me
The
actually
answer
sit
is
down. Let
never.
me sit down and
We
think.
overcorrect. We overcorrect. There are those of us who will fall on the spectrum where it makes sense, they are reasonable, and there's going to be the loudest portion who overcorrects. Why is the loudest portion the one that overcorrects? Because what they're doing is an extreme. What they're doing is it's so, it's like watching reality television. It's so like, ugh, that those people will always have the loudest thing, but they're also the least well thought out. So when it comes to like the black card people, the same people as the same people pulling black cards is the same people saying Mexicans are coming over to take all our jobs, but you don't want to work those jobs. It's the same people coming over. It's the same people saying a lot of things, whereas towards another race, but the thing actually isn't affecting them. So they're just saying it because they have something to complain about. Why, Gene? Because
That's my point.
we love to complain. We
Yeah,
love sympathy. We love empathy. We want everybody to pity us because we have it the hardest. It's a struggle competition. And I made it through the worst, and now I have an excuse for not being where I want to be in life. Therefore, I can say, hey, the only reason I'm not this is because of this. Now, whatever this is, I can pick anything. White people, they did me wrong. All my bosses don't like me. All my teachers didn't like me. I had dyslexia. Whatever it is, you can just name whatever that this is and replace it with whatever. You just so happen a lot of people pick race because it's easy.
because
That's
it's
it.
easy.
That's why I think it's coming down to, for a lot of people, it's low hanging fruit. And
It's effective, unfortunately. It's easy, but it's still also unfortunately effective. And
The
I
trigger.
guess I probably do it in a very poor way, but that's why I bring light to these topics, because like we need to make fun of this because we need to make it ineffective. And the only way I know how to make it ineffective is what John believes in. You got to be able to laugh at it. And if we can laugh at this and show that you're funny, like you're funny, we're making fun of you, you're funny. Hopefully it stops becoming as effective. And
I
that's
agree.
so real quick, let's react to this Umar clip and why I kind of wanted to kind of segue this into one big topic. So go ahead and play it, Ian.
Keep in mind, please keep in mind, Dr. Umar is an individual who chances are suffers from some type of mental disorder. No, I'm being so honest with you.
No,
Like it's not even like
I hope you're right
if
though. I hope
no,
you're right because it
it's a
sounds like he
thing. If you
does.
watch Dr. Umar, Dr. Umar is somebody who's incredibly intelligent, but they don't have the ability to contextualize things. He's literally a crazy man.
oh,
Like
he's too smart. He's like mad
he's
scientist
put his
level.
phone down before and said, uh, his phone got knocked down by the wind. He said somebody sent the wind to knock his phone down so he wouldn't tell y'all what was going on. That's the individual you're about to play here. So keep in mind,
Is he
yes,
faith?
he's a
Is
huh?
he a Christian? Is he a faith man? Is he Christian?
I don't believe so. I think he believes in like Ifa, which is a pagan religion from Nigeria.
Yeah, I know what
So
you is.
I don't think so, but I'm just saying this to say like this man is
Yeah,
like even in the
yeah.
black community known as crazy, legitimately crazy. So for him to be the voice of any topic we're gonna have is just for discussion purposes only.
Yep, literally. Go ahead and play it, Ian.
So addicted to white women at a rate more than any other man in this country. I can tell you, low fucking racial self-esteem.
And what I'm telling you is, you are 1,000% wrong.
You're in denial-ish.
I'm not. When you
Which one's
say
Umar?
that somebody is dating somebody
The
because
yellow
they
shirt.
have low self-esteem, you are basically saying that white people are better than we are. So when somebody says, yo, he only fuck with them because he hates himself.
Absolutely.
That means that you think that that person thinks that white people are better than
You do.
I don't.
You wouldn't have been with him. There's more
You
black
are
women
wrong.
on the earth than any other population.
you
You
are-
can get a black woman
What I'm
from
telling
Brazil.
you,
You can go to Jamaica. You can go to Canada. You can go to the indigenous Africans of Mexico. Black women, African women are the largest population. You can get a light skin
Can we just
sister.
speak
You
on
can
the
get a
majors?
pina colada sister. You can get you a off-white sister. We got black women of every complexion. So if you need a
goes like,
pale
damn,
queen,
what
you can got you a pale African queen. But you
I believe that in respect to Jonathan Major.
why are black men so addicted?
All right, pause it in. So in my opinion, I can point at this and easily be like, that's racism. But we look at a child in sports athletic paint and we go, that's racism. I just think our compass is so screwed up. Like, in my opinion, I'm probably wrong. It's my personal opinion. I think Dr. Dumar's a racist. I hope he's just meant, like John said. I
No,
hope he's
Dr.
just
Umar is a racist.
like
But like, you see a homeless guy run up to people, call him the N-word. They're crazy. They're also racist. Dr. Umar is a pro-black, intelligent, racist, crazy man. All of it, all together. He's read books. He's gone to school. He has his master's and all that. He's been on Oprah's show. He's well spoken about certain topics. Don't get me wrong about certain topics, but at his core, Dr. Umar is definitely. Look who's arguing with him on the thing. There's another black guy.
Well, apparently, Dr. Umar, that guy's not black.
So Dr. Umar, let me just counter that real quick.
I know, go for it.
Dr. Umar just said you could have pina colada Africans,
Yeah.
milk
pale.
Africans, pale Africans,
Yeah.
Brazilian Africans, whatever type of and black race. He said we have blacks of all complexions, and then looked at that man and said he wasn't black.
Yeah. I picked up on that too.
The man is. I would just, after this, take your time, watch Dr. Umar's interviews. He's legit batshit crazy.
It's so hard, bro. I've seen too many where
He's batshit crazy.
But
Like,
again, my only point though is just like we struggle to point out, and maybe I'm wrong. I
think we pointed out on this podcast all the time. To be honest with you,
because we're, even though I'm more right leaning and Doc's maybe more left leaning, like we're pretty centered. Like we have our topics that where our leanings show a little bit, but we're all pretty well centered dudes, and we have each other to bounce. Like reality is a tested reality. We test our realities all the time. That's why we're able to see stuff like this and be like, that's bait. That's bait. But
I saw his name, I knew it was bait. It's not even realistic to like. I don't know if I'm showing it. It's so unrealistic to react to this human being. This guy is legitimately, when I say batshit crazy, like he could blame the wind for his phone falling because somebody sent the wind. That's a level of we're too far.
My critique is not even on Dr. Umar specifically. It's on the people who support him. And that's what bothers me is this man gets thousands of support,
man. If there are people who support him, chances are they are what, Gene?
Crazy.
Okay. So do we just go around addressing crazy people from all ethnicities and all backgrounds?
Yeah,
because then we'd be here all day. That's what I'm saying. This guy is not.
But this is the pursuit of equality. We have to do this technically. If we want to pursue equality, we have to address everyone. Yes, we do.
Boom. This is the equivalent of us watching an interview from the Klansmen and saying people like him. I feel like there's a group of people that support or whatever he's doing. They're wrong. Obviously, he's in the Klan. Obviously, this man is wrong. He's saying dumb shit. He just called every color of black, then said that guy wasn't black. He didn't even catch the point the guy was saying. He's saying you're telling them if they're dating a white person, from your point of view, you are saying they believe white people are better. Why? Because they have to have low self-esteem to date a white person. Now, that full sentence means the person who is judging them also believes white people are better. So his own opinion did not make sense. I feel like we're covering a homeless guy. Also, he's homeless. Did I mention that he was homeless just recently? Like, this is a real crazy guy that gets on people's Wi-Fi and talks crazy. That's all he is. He's, don't get me wrong, intelligent though. But most crazy people are, but he's intelligent when it comes to information that's Pangea, the history of black people. If you want to know what happened in 1967 for black people, ask Dr. Umar. If you want to know any of his moralities or anything that has to do with morals or work, don't talk to that nigga. He's the worst one. Like, he's called light skin for the longest. He called light skinned people tainted.
Yeah, I remember that.
Really?
Too. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude.
The dude's a racist, or no, he's a black supremacist. The dude's a straight up black supremacist.
Okay.
My point though is, yes, you're right. Talking about pointing out the obvious stupidity, how wrong he is, mental, whatever you want to call it. It's so obvious. Why are we doing it? I completely agree with you. My issue with that is I'm not trying to like do a fucking right turn on us or hard turn on us, but we felt that way when it came to some trans stuff and the pedophile stuff. And look at us now trying to return pedophile to Matt because, you know, we're trying to find nuance in this. Like, unfortunately,
that's the equivalent of saying that I'm scared for my life that the KKK could come back and be in the power that they had back in the day. That's the equivalent of what you're saying. Because if you think this can go that far, the equivalent of that is me saying the KKK could pop back up and I should be scared of my life that they're going to come and lynch me at my door. Do I have a fear of that? No. What I'm saying is, if we want to talk about this topic, I feel we should just talk about the topic and deal in the complexities of the topic instead of using him as a figurehead to enter that conversation.
Well, you have to because we got a podcast. We have to have a figurehead to enter the conversation.
We got to find a different one because this is a crazy nigga we're talking about. Like, he is legitimately crazy. Like, dude.
That's fair. You know what? You know what? That's fair. That's fair. So,
but I get your point though. Like,
so then
there's
I'll
a
push
lot of
Dr. Umar
ludicrous.
to the side.
There's a lot of ludicrous ideas that people get other people to support because people aren't happy with themselves. People aren't happy with their lives. So when you do that, you're a sadness merchant. What he's doing is he's just keep in mind too, Dr. Umar takes lots of donations.
And he gets lots of donations.
Exactly. And he's online all the time asking for money. I've seen him open a gift card before and say, what the fuck I'm gonna do with this? That's who we're talking about. So as far as like that niche group, they exist without him, but they believe their points are more on a solid foundation to discuss it. So those people are the problem.
He's the figurehead. He's the figurehead for him.
Correct.
And I will acknowledge that us bringing light on this is probably giving too much attention. I mean, we're not big podcasters like that, but I mean, is shedding too much light to that group of people? Sure. Again, but the only reason why to your point, you're probably right. Also, using him as probably a bad example, but the only reason why I use him as an example is because one, it's an easy example to use, and two, even though it's an easy example to use, it's never used.
So,
and
let me for example. So when I have a friend that I used to work with. He doesn't work there anymore, but he's extremely right. I mean, extremely right, right? So anytime I would show him,
how right are you talking? Is it like MAGA right, or is it white supremacist right?
No. He was my best friend. Jordan at work. He was my best friend at work.
Oh, okay.
So no. He wasn't racist at all, but he was ignorant in a way because like he just didn't believe certain things still existed, if that makes sense. I won't delve into that, but if that makes sense. And he also believes what he saw on the news. He believed people can't lie to him on TV. He's that type of ignorant. You get what I'm saying? But damn, I forgot where I was going with it. Oh well.
Talking about ignorance.
No, it's gone.
Oh, is it gone?
Oh, it's gone. I literally have to rewind the video.
He's like, I don't even remember that guy's name anymore. He's gone.
What was I talking about Jordan about? What I bring him up for? I just called him ignorant, and they had no point to prove after it. So
you've been holding that in for like a year.
You just had to get it out. I got it out. I feel so much better. What was I talking about now?
No. Oh, okay. Yeah. So he's very right. Right. But I wouldn't say he doesn't symbolize
the average like right person.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, no, I mean, if that was the point I was trying to make, I guess that's a quick one. He doesn't symbolize the average white person. We disagree on a lot of things, but we also agree on a lot of things because we have a mutual respect for each other. But people like this, where do you start a conversation with Dr. Umar
It immediately start off
about race?
It'll recently start off confrontational. Whatever the question is, it's going to be confrontational because he
Would
automatically
you-
is going to disagree with everything you say.
Would you consider Dr. Umar though like an overcorrectionist? Because I mean,
Yeah.
we can argue if
Well-
the principal for that kid is an overcorrectionist,
Yes.
but do you think this guy is that or just something else?
No, it's an example of what you said. He's not an overcorrectionist. He's it's my turn with the whip.
Correct.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
He's a my
Oh.
turn guy. That's him. It's a my turn guy.
What I was saying was I show him he's extremely right or whatever. I show him police brutality videos sometimes or just some funny cop videos or whatever it is, right? And he almost gets defensive
Because
because
bad cops don't exist.
not only that, he's immediately his morality and what he views is immediately put in question when he watches that video because his first response most of the time is, but it's not all cops. But it's not all cops. Now, most people don't want to hear that, but he is stating the fact that it's not all cops. But the fact that that's his immediate response is showing me that he's triggered by it or he feels there's something to defend there.
He can't
You get
take
what
the
I'm
time
saying?
to acknowledge this right here I'm seeing is wrong. It's bad,
Situationally.
and it needs to be acknowledged. He's refusing
That is
to
this
go
human
through.
being.
He's refused to go through that step, and a lot of people are that way, because a lot of people feel like if I even give space for that acknowledgement, it completely. I'm assuming I don't know what's
There's
like. I'm
no
only
50
assuming
50.
it's
It's just
like
100%.
it trounces my beliefs and ideologies, and like I can't have that. I must uphold them. It's like no, you can still acknowledge this is bad and still be true to what you believe and what you
I
think
would
and what you want to defend.
assume it's the same feeling of like a loss of faith. It's like
Interesting.
like the moment you lose your faith, like that's pretty breaking for some people.
That's what this guy's selling.
Yeah.
That's why I asked too. Is this guy a faith person? Depending on what the
Scam
faith
artist.
is, and it's like
He's a scam artist.
I come from the belief that we all have a faith, and what you choose to place that faith in is up to you. Some people it's in Jesus Christ. Some people it's in Muhammad. Some people it's in Buddha, and some people it's in Taylor Swift. Some people it's in Biden and Trump. People have faith and they place it where they choose to place it. And I think it's completely okay to be discriminatory about how people choose to place their faith. And what I mean by that is how I choose to place my time with that person when I say that.
For anybody to put their thinking cap in somebody else's hand is ridiculous. And that's what you do when you follow people like that. Like, don't get me wrong. If I don't know finances or anything like that, I'm gonna watch podcasts on finances and take from it what I can and apply it to my life and do what I need to do. When you're watching stuff like this and you're just not thinking for yourself, there's no application. You're just regurgitating. You watch these people to regurgitate what they say. So when you go and you're greeted with these rare situations that you won't be in, you're ready to fire off. And guess what? It's literally the equivalent of a cop who loves shooting guns not being able to shoot. I got this fucking black card. Shit burning a hole in my pocket. I can't wait for some racist shit to happen so I can slap that hole on me like that. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you're you're too jumpy. You just couldn't wait. You're not patient enough. It'll come. Don't worry. It'll come. But you're not patient enough. You're just jumping at
Well,
everything and flashing that card.
but
That
that's the
card getting
sentiment that I
declined.
think is weird. The sentiment of I want to pull this out, and I've used a black card. I use the cop example that you stated. You have this gun and you're itching to use it. That feeling in you, whatever that is towards, that's weird. Either be it a cop who can't wait to use his gun to shoot, be it a black guy or a woman who wants to use the black card because it gives them victim points, whatever situation it is. Like whatever the situation is, that sentiment I think is I help me out, John, because you've known me all my life, pretty much. Have there ever been a situation where I was like itching to wait to pull out whatever the card was and be like, ah, And I mean seriously, not like a joking way, like I'm gonna talk some shit or whatever. I mean like I genuinely had a situation. I was waiting for it to happen so I could be like, let me show my superiority or whatever it is.
To that point, even though the example was good, they differ. Pardon me. They differ in the fact that the cop goes into the job, and this is me assuming, the cop goes into the job with that feeling after training, wanting to control, whereas the person using the black card feels they're owed.
That, or I'm also thinking like maybe it's like a influence. Like you see everybody else doing it, so you want to do it. Because I'm thinking like to mix the analogies together of like the person who wants to shoot the gun. Like they watch like action movies, and then they're like, "Oh, I just want to draw and shoot" or something like that. So I can imagine if you consume a large amount of media that tells you, I don't know, Mexicans are oppressed for this or yeah, exactly. Even not even racially, but just like you're a victim because of X reasons, and then you finally are like, oh, I can shoot that card. Oh, yeah.
They told me this on TV.
Yeah.
But that's why so another reason why I'm highlighting the Umar stuff is because when the left-wing media highlights the rare instances of racism from white people, when they highlight that, it's an effective tool.
What was that word you used before instances?
When the liberal news media tends to highlight the rare instances of
that rare word.
What?
Racism isn't rare.
No. I'm talking about the rare instances of genuine racism of a white person on camera doing that. It's highlighted.
Okay.
Like for example, so let's switch faces.
Play Call of Duty online.
What do you mean? I was in those lobbies with you.
If you ever want to know if racism is still alive, play Call of Duty online with a little 8-year-old, little 9-year-old.
That's an interesting question. I guess let's pursue it. Fuck it.
I heard somebody today say something like that, where they were like, I don't mean to derail real quick, Gene, but somebody said he's like, I think every kid around like 13 should be thrown into a 2006 Call of Duty lobby for like 20 minutes.
No.
And then have them come out, and then just like that way they have the skin to interact with the world.
2000 what?
A 2006 Call of Duty lobby.
Okay. They will say things about you that they should not even know.
Yeah.
Those kids are set. I've turned off my proximity chat.
Savage. Yeah.
As soon as you enter a lobby, nigga. It's just like an engine, just that's all you hear. Why that word?
I honestly don't even think they fully understand it outside of it's just like they know it's a sting.
What to say?
Yeah.
That's why.
So I guess quick pursue that is simply using the N-word make you a racist?
I don't think so.
Discussing it does.
What do you mean? Like,
discussing why you can't use the N-word makes you a racist.
Oh, okay. So if I asked you, like, John, why can't I say the N-word? That would like you would be like, you seem kind of racist to me.
This is my advice to all white people. Listen.
I've been in these situations too, mind you. John and I have been in these situations, or at least told each other situations where someone actually asked, "Why can't we say this word?" And it's obvious why you can't say the word, but they still want you to tell them why you can't say the word, and it's just interesting.
And a lot of people think you're not well spoken, so they'll ask the question thinking you're not going to give them a fucking answer. Why do you want to say the word? First off, because it's fun. Do you think the word is fun to say? Is that the real reason you want to say it? Or is it because you like doing stuff you think you're not supposed to do? It makes it more exciting. So that's why you say the N-word. Because you know you could get canceled for it. But this is a place where you can get away with saying it without getting any trouble. It's like being butt naked in the house.
I also feel like some people hold like a level of pride when they can say it or when they claim they can.
Correct.
Or some
That's why I tell white people, don't ask me. Say it and see if you get away with it.
Like, yeah, because I mean, you see all the time on TV, like people like come up with like a reasoning that like my friends let me say it or this comes up and stuff like that, and they just kind of hold it as like a.
That's still weird to me. That why like.
Yeah. It is really weird because
there's a black guy in Texas that let me say it. I don't know why you guys in New York have a problem with it. You need to call him.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I guess maybe it's the same like prey tactic that happens to certain people where like exclusivity like triggers them. Like you know.
True.
But it's weird because it's not like the entire culture is playing coy. Like they're just it's just like what the fuck, but some people just get triggered by it.
Just one word.
I forgot the point I was trying to make before John brought up the whole racist N-word.
We were talking about
negative house.
We were talking about like people who get tempted to play a victim card because they've seen victimhood expressed on television or influenced them in some way.
Oh, exactly. I remember the point I was going with. Because we know these situations are rare. We know white people are racist. We know black people are racist. We know people are racist. And I was saying about the left-wing media has no problem pointing out the white racism. My fear, though, and I don't know if this is a genuine fear or not, is when the right side of the news media decides to use examples like Dr. Umar and be like, hey, look at this black supremacist. Look at this racism on the black side of Americans. It's like, and John's point, this is such a, like, these people aren't that prevalent. Do they exist? Of course they exist. Are they annoying? Hell yes, they're annoying. But is it really something that should be an issue? They're going to make it an issue. Because just as the liberal media made racism an issue again, I can see right-wing media being like, hey, black people, y'all are racist. Guess what? Pendulum's this way. It's
when
like,
they attacked rap music and hip hop and said we're making their kids turn into killers, and then they boycotted Eminem and they did all these things. Like, it won't be the first time something like that was brought up on right wing media.
Yeah, I'm just trying to address the pendulum.
Narrative. Yeah,
because
it's just how strong
agree
your narrative is. That's all it boils down to. And Dr. Umar's a damn good one. So
I don't think it's about the strength of narrative. I think it's about the persistence of your narrative.
I think Dr. Umar would also be like dangerous because
he'd be a double-edged sword. They don't know what the fuck he would say on there. If he got invited on Fox, he might be wrong and make the guy look wrong, and all at once, because he's crazy and smart. He has a way with words. He would say some shit, and I don't know how to respond to that. You see, you're racist. Then
I think the big error too, or the big danger would be that like nobody knows him, like nobody knows his past or anything like that. Like John,
they do. He's famous.
But can you imagine like
the average person does
the
not
average person, who's not in the know of it, and just like watching him and him spouting off some crazy stuff.
I contest that the whole purpose of having him on Fox would be to attract the people that do follow him or know him. So when you have that conscious debate or whatever you have on Fox, you're trying to take down somebody's idol in front of them. That's when I see them, like when they have hip hop artists on Fox and stuff like that, it's to embarrass them. It's not because they don't think they're well. Yeah. So that's why I think it would be, and he's been on Oprah. Like when Oprah actually had the show still, and she had him on her panel of there was 5 people she had on the panel that changed your life. Knowledge from these books would change your life. He was one of the 5. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
Was that the day before in the days before podcasting though?
Yeah, it was like 2010, 2012.
Oh,
early.
When all the content we got out of him was highly edited by editors and stuff like that in books, and now it's just spews straight from the source.
It's just rants, incoherent rants from a crazy man. No, I'm right there with you. I think it is. I don't know. I think everybody just keep doing their job. The balance is not going to go too far. Also, side note, Gene, Kingdom season 5 is out.
Oh, I actually saw that. I gotta watch the previous seasons. Any last points? The only point I make, the reason why I wanted to highlight these 2 topics for a greater topic that I kind of was alluding to is we gotta stop falling for the bait. Everybody's gotta stop falling for the bait, man.
Yeah, I think you gotta just squeeze it down to a single moral. It's like just practice critical thinking.
Yeah, that's the big.
Because when you see the guy from the high school, it's like you got to critically think about this. And then when you see a Dr. Umar, you're like, you got to really critically think about this. Because
has somebody ever said anything to you, an opinion they have or something, and it was so unthought of, like so you could tell they put no thought into it. It just turns you off from the whole conversation.
Fake deep thinking?
Yeah. Well,
I mean the roots of fake. No, I mean the roots of fake. Why we came up with the name fake deep thinking?
Literally.
I always remember this one moment that it happened to me.
We had.
I was I was playing League of Legends with one of my friends, and he was on my headset and stuff like that. And my roommate comes into the room at the time, and he's like, "I need to study harder. I think I'm gonna start doing meth." And I remember at that moment that what John just explained happened to me, where I was just like, "This is stupid." And my friend was like, "Wait, let's hear him out." And I was like, "Dude, no, this is just dumb."
That friend likes chaos. That friend likes chaos.
Because he was laughing when he said it. And I was like, all right. I was like, give me your pitch, dude.
Let's hear him out.
And he was just like, he basically just said he needed more energy to study. So he's like, so I'm thinking about getting meth.
Meth was the
answer. Yeah. And I was like, you ever heard of Adderall, dude? And he's like, oh yeah, that's a better one.
Altogether.
Yeah.
Completely skipped Adderall. Good
dude.
It happens to me constantly too, though, where like somebody will say something and they're literally reading verbatim the caption of whatever they saw, and they don't think that somehow I saw the same thing that's going viral, and their opinion is literally the caption on the video.
Did you watch the video?
No, they did not
Probably
watch
not.
the video.
And that's why
why are you
we
talking
react to this nonsense, because we actually
but you don't even have to talk. You know, nobody forces anybody to talk. Did you know that? Did you know, like, there's no person who brings words out your mouth forcibly. So you choosing to spout rubbish when we could sit in silence. We don't have to exchange bullshit. But you're choosing. Then also, like, you're talking to me as if you're educating me. Don't do that. And I'm not even saying like smarter than me, dumber. I'm not saying that. But don't talk to me like you're educating me on something if you haven't really looked in. Like, why do you also want to spread it? It's so crazy. Like, you don't even look into it. You get this idea, and now you go out and say it because you want other people to believe the idea that you didn't even look into. Sounds like news to me. I don't know.
Sounds like news to me. Yeah, it does. That's why we need independent news to come on the rise. All right, I think that's all the takes.
Never be a thing.
You got anything to add, Doc?
Our chance. We've lost all our hope.
The only thing I was thinking about, because John actually reminded me, I used to have that habit as well. But one thing I learned to do to stop doing that was I stopped internalizing it.
Well, I can't.
So
man,
if I see a headline now, I won't internalize it and be like, did you know that this happened?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
I'll just kind of like read it and be like, oh, I guess that happened. And then when it gets brought up around me, I'll say, well, supposedly X is what's happening. And then they were like, oh, how? And I'm like, I don't know. I just fucking read it as a headline. Like, you
know what's crazy? That you say that. Until you just said that, I didn't notice it. But me and Gene habitually, when we talk about stuff like this, we'll literally ask, hey, did you click on the link? Like, it's part of our conversation. Did you watch the whole video? It's literally part of, even when we're talking about Yu Hakusho.
I have noticed that because once we started the podcast, Gene will be like, did you read the law? And I'll be like, I didn't actually read it. So now I read the fucking law.
I'm telling you, to the point where I'll ask Gene what mindset he was in when he was watching something. I was like, oh, were you watching it as like an anime lover, or you wanted it to be verbatim like how the anime was, or are you watching it for just what it was, the show? That was the first question I asked him. That's how conversations should flow, because you can't trust anybody from them. And this is me and Gene. We're still asking, well, did you fucking watch it? So like, and people will admit to you too, they won't even lie. Did you watch it? No.
I think that's just our debate
staring
skills.
at each other like this.
Our debate skills getting sharpened. I think that's what it is. Or it's just like, all right, well, where were you at? What's the framing of the situation so I know how to attack it?
I ride to work with a lady who asks me questions before I finish answering the question. She's asking me a question, and how I know she's just talking to talk. She'll ask me the same question 2 questions later, and I've caught her doing it 3-4 times now. For example, we're remodeling the place. She said, "Oh, I'm going to park in this parking spot." said, blank, you know that's a reserved parking spot. Do not park there. She said, why isn't he going to park in the front? The remodeling is done. The renovations are done. I said, because his office is over there and the renovations are done. She said, the renovations aren't done. I said, when's the last time you worked? She said, Thursday. I said, so have you been to work since then? She says, no. I said, so how do you know the renovations aren't done? She said, I don't know. I just don't want to park here. I said, oh,
I can't. I fucking can't. I fucking can't.
so you didn't care what the truth was. You just spitting out scenarios that fit your bullshit that you wanted to do.
I can't.
Stuff like that. I can't. I almost lost it. I almost lost it. I literally got out the car mid her parking and just got out and just walked.
Hey, I've gotten better at taking that breath. We all preach it. They remind everyone watching, everyone who sees this, that I'm telling y'all, that breath you take is justice. Every time you feel yourself getting riled up, just take a quick pause and just.
My problem is,
And if
I
you still
have
want to do it
such
after that breath, good luck.
my problem is I have such a intense internal dialogue. The I can't control like I legitimately cannot control the nigga inside me and what he says. So like I'll start talking to myself as if myself is another person. And those two people just agree all the time. And they agree on being angry. So it's like hard for me to like hear something like that and know that she just made me walk around this full circle when all she wanted to do was just not park there. But conversationally, I had to run a lap to get to that conclusion. That to me is unforgivable. I cannot do that.
All right. Let's get into some comments real quick and let's close it out. All right. Ethan was like, that's not blackface. Yep. See, even Ethan knows. See, it's that easy. Look at it. Easy. Not blackface. This is 2024. Kids doing blackface on Halloween is not the same as blackface from the 1920s. Even if it is blackface, how is that something that should be disciplined by any institution legally? That's an interesting question. Should institutions, be it a school, all the, from down to a school, all the way up to the government, should institutions discipline blackface? I'm gonna say no. That's my personal opinion. I say no. Even if it is blackface, how is something that should be disciplined by any institution legally? So basically, he's regarding blackface. How is blackface something that should be disciplined by any institution legally?
I would imagine that the
could be
school is leaning on a really
bullying.
vague policy.
No, I don't think that's vague at all. I think if you're intentionally doing blackface, you're antagonizing other black students.
Well, I
It's
meant
bullying.
in the case of like the kid, like
And
this
he should be
particular
suspended.
kid.
If like the people who showed up with purposeful blackface, and then there was the kids who showed up with the sign that spelled out nigger, like
No, I mean like
he dropped the hard R. We're gonna get flagged.
if I can't say it, who can? Somebody got to say the word. God damn it! God.
That did happen though. You're not lying or making things up. That actually happened.
Hopefully the bot doesn't catch it since we're already like 45 minutes in and only
Right.
the person can catch it and we have time to bleep it.
But I think there's two things we got to understand in the question. Actual blackface, yes, but he emphasized in 2024, like anything's blackface. Obviously, the simply doing the paint is blackface. The kid doing the Indian stuff is blackface. The kid wanted to look like probably Michael Jackson, a bad example. Wanted to look like Michael Jordan. I let it slip. I'm sorry. I couldn't catch it fast enough. I let it leak. But people want to look like Michael Jordan. Like
Michael Jackson's probably a bad example. Why, Gene? Why is Michael Jackson a bad example about being blackface? Why?
Anyway,
I'm just thinking whatever their policy is, it probably says something very broad stroked like racial offenses.
Yeah, that's why I think.
And then at that point, the principal is able to lean on it and to just be like, well, that's racially offensive. And they're just like, oh, well, there's a law and stuff that can cover that.
I think the racial connotation doesn't even have to be in the bylaws. I think it should just be antagonizing and bullying. Like, there's so many, like, when you break a regular law in America, you've broken 4.
No, Doc's
Speeding,
what Doc's
reckless endangerment.
what Doc's trying to say is it's the what if it is, we're not sure. It seems like it is, but the law, regulation, whatever policy, whatever it is, it's so broad that you can claim anything is blackface. That's why we've had
I
one too
agree.
many
I'm just
examples.
saying, I
Okay,
don't think it has anything. I'm saying that law that's written, I don't think written down the word racial is in it. I think it's just under general bullying, antagonizing, and whatever it is, because then you can play with that in a more general term or general space than actual racial anything.
I see what
Because
you're saying.
when you
It's
say
like,
racial, you're pinning it down. So if he's able to contextualize it to a point where he's saying that it's not racial, then you don't have anything on your case. But if you just say it's general bullying, then it's like
or some,
speeding is also reckless endangerment. You're gonna
or
get hit
something
for a
like
speeding ticket.
offensive gesturing or something. It's just like,
Yeah, there you
that's
go.
fucking
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot.
what about this rebuttal Ethan
You
had?
go like this to a teacher.
Ethan said, but even saying blackface is an offense flies in the face of the First Amendment.
I agree.
So then, technically
So
speaking,
then white people should say the N-word. First Amendment.
I think, like, by law, like, there's a lot of stuff that amendment covers, but I think social contracting influences it differently.
Yeah, First Amendment are gonna protect them first 2 teeth.
But that's what we can do. But that's one thing we can acknowledge as a society, or maybe we're just doing a terrible job acknowledging it. Is there's a difference between laws and social. I don't know if you want to call them social laws, but social norms. Like, you're right, we do have a First Amendment right to a free speech. So say the N-word. You're probably going to get punched in the face.
Yeah, that or the Second Amendment comes into play.
Or the Second Amendment comes into play. You're exactly like we've. I don't want to hash that topic out again. Let's move on. Ethan said, yes, there should be no law that forbids the saying of the N-word, and there isn't. But there is a street law that says if you say the word and you're not black, you're probably going to get a quick chin, a knuckle sandwich.
And we got enforcers.
And we got enforcers. All right. That if there was more to it, it would have been all over the news. I remember where that was coming from. I said the same thing. Tag me in, coach. This is when John dipped out. Bring me in, coach. I'll do audio only since John isn't on. I'll give you the the N166A side of things. That's funny.
For those of you who don't know, he meant nigga.
The white friend, after repeatedly saying no, then gives in and goes to say it, and the black guy smacks the shit out of him out of reflex. I'm sure that's happened.
It sounds to me like.
Or you got the opposite reaction. I think we've talked about this story one time. Or you got the opposite reaction, and you give the alley up to say it, and you don't say it, and everyone's like, "You didn't say it." Okay.
Let me tell you something.
That's happened to me before.
Nobody's ever been angry. I was there. Nobody's ever been angry that you didn't say it. Why does it only work one way? Fuck you. You ain't say the N-word? Fuck you. Why?
Where is this? It's like that. You can say it, but because of venom and disrespect, it has been used towards us. Even if we know and love our friend who is white, it still gets a reaction. It's probably true. I don't think I've ever seen John react negatively, but John operates under the pretense that if I notice you saying it, I'm probably going to say something. But if I don't notice it, then it's probably fine.
Also, if it's funny, if you get a laugh out of me, you won. Like, I'm not going to laugh and then get angry after a laugh.
You're laughing punch is like, I had to do that. But that was funny.
Social morality that says saying the N-word is not acceptable is fine. Yeah. Because we've all come together as a societal class, and we've said this is something that we probably shouldn't either do or say. The issue, though, is when the law gets into effect. but he said the N-word. You shouldn't have punched him. You got to be willing to accept the fact that, yeah, I punched him. I don't care. I'm willing to take the fine or the time.
I do kind of wonder.
Oh, actually, no. There's a law now. I won't say now, but if you antagonize somebody to the point, you can antagonize somebody to the point of attacking you now, by law.
I think that's always been a thing.
I thought so as well. I just want to say, like, I know I heard it recently that you can say enough.
Yeah, technically antagonizing falls under freedom of speech. Like I don't know if threaten is the right word I want to use, but like on the lines of threaten. Obviously, I can say triggering words like the N-word to trigger you to potentially hit me, and I can then use that as justification to be like, self-defense. Let me bust out the Second Amendment.
There's
entrapment too.
This is a magic word.
Probably.
It's in magic. It's a keyword. Goad. You can goad people.
Goad. Yeah, goad. Yeah, and that's an issue also. It just comes down to, and I guess I'll touch on it a little bit because I am trying to close it out. We have abandoned a lot of these social morality norms, whatever you want to call unwritten codes that we have, because like John alluded to earlier, we all love competition. We're Americans. We thrive on competitions. And guess what? When that happens, we love winning. And when these dynamics happen, what's the ultimate card you can play to win the conversation or win the interaction, win the engagement? The law. And unfortunately, the law has become the arbiter of everything right to a lot of people. The law is the way of the land. The law is God. Like the law is it. People have faith, and where people choose to put their faith, it says a lot, reveals a lot. You got to be careful.
How little faith you have in yourself,
and it shows how little faith you have in yourself. All right, last couple from Ethan. Let's close it out. Last one. Mutual combat has always been a thing. It just fell out of favor in all liberal cities except Seattle, Washington.
Ethan brings up mutual combat at least
It's like those stakes in mutual combat, bro.
I'm about it, man. Draw up a square.
100%. Everything should be solved. Everything should be solved like the last John Wick movie.
Everything should be solved like Vikings. If you can't argue this out, draw up the square. Hands. Let's see what you got. Someone watch this because this could get out of hand. Draw the square.
But see, that's how you end up with a society of a whole bunch of dumb big niggas.
Will it? Because
yes.
Again, it's the conversation we had last time. Everyone's not an intellectual and everyone's not a warrior. Right now in our current society, we're focusing too much on being an intellectual, where we've completely forgot about the warrior class. And unfortunately, the warrior class tend not to be as smart. Why? Because they build up their skills in their bodies and their physical prowess and everything like that. Warriors exist. We forget warriors exist. How do warriors tend to express themselves? Through violence. And we don't cater through a healthy way of expressing violence. It actually might be healthy to allow people, specifically men,
smart people.
I'm not saying that, but I'm not against it either.
That's what's going to happen.
Gene's saying intelligence builds are too OP and strength builds got nerfed.
Yeah.
Bring back up strength.
Yeah. We got to balance. We need a data sheet. We need to update a data sheet.
If you leave it to the strength guys, there'd be no intelligence. You know what would happen? The big guys would beat up all the smart guys, and then the smaller big guys would have to become smart. They become the new intelligence people. They have to figure out a way to get around the big guys. Because guess what? I can say, hey, look, I can solve AIDS and world hunger right now with this right here. And a big guy can say, fuck that drink, and beat the shit out of me. If we're going based off who wins that fight, you're all fucked. I got the cure, but nobody wants to listen to me.
I'm more so focusing on not using fighting as a way to determine who's right and wrong. I'm more so on letting people who have emotions let those emotions out, and hope then be like, okay, now that we got that emotion out of us, do we still want to talk, or we want to wait till tomorrow because we still got to talk this out
socially? Good old social fight. Okay, yeah, I'm cool with that.
Mutual combat. That's what I'm talking about. That's what mutual combat is. It's a social fight. It's like, I don't want to get arrested for fighting you, but I want to fight you. And the guy's like, me too.
I think that's just like a level of social intelligence, though, where it's like you got to see where the guy who's too much into logic is turning really fucking annoying and is just driving up the emotions in the other guy. And you got to be able to like appease the emotional guy and at the same time like reason with the logic guy.
He got goated. He got goated. Yeah. You don't want him to attack the smart guy because he goated him? Nah, bro. Attack the small guy. Let it out. He deserves it. He deserves it. He provoked you. You should have provoked him, bro.
I do believe senators should be picked through gun violence.
Through gun violence? Like duels?
Yeah. If the senator doesn't want to give his seat up, you got to duel, brother.
Yeah, because public officials ran in office for way too long, and that's why we got a bunch of old, decrepit people who have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, all the gun companies would be like, "Yo, we're the official pistol of the Senate."
We're the official pistol of the Senate. All right. That's enough fake deep thinking. Thank y'all for tuning in. If you haven't liked the video, please like the video. If you haven't commented, please leave a comment. If you have not done it, please share the videos. Let's bring more people in this conversation because we are crazy and we love having these wild conversations. We'll see y'all next time on Fake Deep Thinking. We got to make Senate mandated guns a thing. Peace.
Yo, thanks for making it to the end. We really appreciate it and hope you all enjoyed the show.
Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that like button, and the notification bell to get notified when we post our clips.
Follow us on Twitter at PodcastFDT. Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok are all Fake Deep Thinking. Check us out, please.
FDT. Peace, y'all.
Peace.